This is the Vaguely Nerdy Podcast, where every week this brother-sister duo gets together to discuss the box office, latest film and TV scoops, along with our latest movie or show review, and what we're getting into next. We're your host, Cheryl.
And Jay.
Okay, so this week we got to watch Alien Romulus, finally. I think this was probably our most anticipated movie.
Yeah, definitely one of mine.
Of the year, for sure. So Jay is on deck for trivia. What you got?
Sure. Okay, so trivia for Alien Romulus.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first and only Alien film in the entire franchise to miss a key element in regards to the titular aliens.
Okay.
One particular stage.
Like feature of the alien, like
Yes.
the xenomorphs?
Yes, or the alien as a whole, and all elements of the alien.
Okay.
This film is missing one thing that if you blink and you miss it, but it is essential to the plot.
A tongue?
No, they do show the tongue. The tongue doesn't come until like way later in the film. But
Actually, was just threw that out there.
they
But
do
okay.
the snap and turla tongue.
Okay, so not the tongue. Skin color? Is
No,
everybody
skin color?
appropriate skin color? Okay.
Yes, no.
Okay. Number of fingers?
No, but
Okay.
close.
Okay.
You're thinking
Something about the
you're
phalanges?
thinking physical.
Okay.
I wouldn't stick to the fingers, but I would stick to physical. Something.
Tail? No, there's definitely some tail action, so that can't be
No. Okay, so I'll give you a clue.
it. Okay.
This is a particular stage of xenomorph life is missing.
Oh, was it the version of the alien that's like it's like a baby xenomorph where it's like little tiny? Like,
No, that was in it.
was it?
Yeah. The
like-
chest burst?
Well, the chest burster didn't like run around in this one
No.
like it did in the first one.
No, but you're getting
Okay.
closer.
Okay. A queen?
Very close, but no.
Okay. I'm gonna run out of things here. A king? No, I'm just
No.
eggs?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
It took me way too long to get to
It
that.
did. So this is the only alien film in the entire franchise that does not feature the egg pods that the
You're
facehuggers hatch out
right.
of.
Oh, you're right. Okay. I mean, we got enough grossness to make up for it. So
Yeah.
don't be concerned that you didn't see any eggs in this one.
Yes, there were other types of pods that were disturbing and gross.
Yes.
But
exactly.
yeah, so this one
Okay.
was missing the egg pods. But I mean, we'll get into spoilers as to
Right.
why that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That was a good one. It took me a long time, but I had very interesting answers. I would say so myself.
Okay, that is the trivia. Let's get into the rest of the episode. Welcome, fellow movie buffs. I'm Jay.
I'm Cheryl.
Listen in as we break down movie and TV shows, tell you what's in the plot, and hear if we think you should have watched it when you had the chance.
Dun dun dun. Okay, so for this episode, we got a little bit of new movie news, a little bit of Cars in the Trailer Park, and a little bit of Buncha Crunch. But we got a really good review for Alien Romulus. So let's start off at the top. Creature of the Black Lagoon is getting a remake. Now, if you're kind of like, why? Let me just take you through why I think they're doing this. So James Wan is in talks to direct. He is from Saw, Conjuring, and the Aquaman. So he's more in the horror space, I would say, than he is in anything else. He's like the creator of Saw, right? In the Conjuring? The Conjuring, I think for sure.
The Conjuring, yes. I don't know if he created
Saw.
I
Okay.
think Lee Whannell did Saw.
Gotcha. Okay. And then if you haven't heard of this movie before, it is a classic. It's an original 1954 monster classic film about a prehistoric water-breathing humanoid.
They both did. Lee Whannell and James Wan.
Okay. Because I was like, it said Saw, but I couldn't remember if it was like all the Saws, because it's like 10 of those movies. So, but The Creature of the Black Lagoon is an old monster film about a humanoid monster and a group of scientists that want to study him. I think there was also a love story somewhere in there, because the picture has like him and a woman.
Yeah, it was back
like
when
the King Kong
it was
situation.
during the Mummy, the Wolfman era,
it's
where
about
the character who's the monster is also in love with
some
the
pretty little
female
woman.
love interest.
Yeah,
in the
always
film,
interesting.
the main female lead.
Right.
Yeah.
There have been several attempts to remake this movie, which is why I think they've got a good choice in James Wan because he's from like that horror movie space. But John Carpenter, who is the creator of Halloween, started to develop a remake in 1992. So this is how far back this attempt goes.
Okay.
Peter Jackson was going to direct a version, but he decided to do King Kong instead in 95, which was...
That was a great choice.
I was going to say, that was a pretty good one. Not my favorite of the Kong movies, but still pretty good.
That's my favorite. Well, it was my favorite up until we got the modern Kong movies.
I was going to say, I'm a Skull Island girl, so yeah.
Great ride at Universal when it works.
Oh, yeah. It took me a second.
We got stuck on the
We
King
went
Kong
to,
ride
I was going to say, we had to start over. So it kind of killed
had
the
to
immersion.
deboard and walk out and
Right.
reboard.
Kong was just looking at us all wide-eyed like, I'm
Knew something was
frozen.
wrong.
I'm frozen. But at least they switched the storyline when we got on the ride the second time.
Yeah.
We got like the British black guy the second time. Another attempt at Creature of the Black Lagoon was made after the 1999 Mummy movie. Mm-hmm. So this was another monster movie that did well. And they were like, oh, snap. This is our ticket. Let's do it. Didn't pan out.
Right.
Guillermo del Toro was going to make a remake in 2002. Also didn't take off. I think he probably would have been a good choice for a director as well. Universal considered Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans to make a remake in 2020, which, no, I'm glad that didn't take off.
No, she's fighting other prehistoric
Yeah,
creatures, though.
I'd rather her fight some dinosaurs than a creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
And then Universal, who owns the monster movies, was going to try to do a dark universe of movies. So it was going to be like the Mummy. I think Tom Cruise's Mummy was supposed to like kick that off.
Yep.
I don't know if they ever
Angelina Jolie's Miss Frankenstein.
Oh.
The Bride of Frankenstein. She was cast. It was like that. It was when they did that big cast photo of people that they photographed individually and superimposed into each other to make it seem like an ensemble cast. Yeah.
As you can probably guess, that also didn't take off. So there's no dark universe with any of these monster movies. Probably because that Tom Cruise Mummy movie didn't get received that well. And that
Dracula movie.
What Dracula
with Luke Evans. That was the first one.
Oh. The movies didn't pass the test.
That was the Let the Games Begin movie.
Yeah, no. So they have abandoned the dark universe idea, which is probably good because it's obvious.
They're trying to make them too serious.
Well,
the Mummy, 1999, was good because it was a fun, campy adventure, and Tom Cruise trying to turn it into Mummy Impossible, and that wasn't interesting.
Right? Wasn't Russell Crowe in that one too? Right?
Yeah, he was like Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah, right, right.
They went too serious.
It got too Mission Impossible.
They went more League of Extraordinary Gentlemen when they should have went more Mummy 1999.
Right, exactly. So the dark universe no longer exists. It sounds like now they're trying to go back to just doing standalone movies. So James Wan is in talks to do this one. We'll see if it makes it because the rest of them didn't really see the light of day. But I think he's got a good following, so this will probably get a lot of people behind it.
I mean, so did all of these people who wanted to make this movie before. Like John Carpenter, Peter Jackson, Guillermo del Toro, all of them.
I mean, they're not small names.
Prolific directors.
I wonder why.
And this defeated them, so.
I wonder why this one. Maybe because they've already done the Mummy twice. They haven't done we already got a Bride coming out, so maybe they were
hard of a story to write to make it interesting. 1954.
Like a creepy creature.
1954. I can't remember. I've only seen Creature of the Black Lagoon once in my entire life. Was it a silent film?
It was black and white.
It was black and white.
I don't think it was silent.
Yeah. It was very well, it was very slow.
I don't think
all of my memories I have no audio attached to them. So
it
was very slow.
It's giving Aquaman, Beauty and the Beast.
I think premise right, and those audiences don't really care about those. And The Shape of Water already came out and won an Oscar.
So. It's gonna be straight horror. So I don't even know if it's gonna be a movie I'm gonna be able to watch. You don't think so? With James Wan directing it?
I mean, he does make horror films, but I mean, his stuff always has a twist to it.
Except Aquaman.
This is Conjuring.
Conjuring has twists.
This is Malignant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's always like some piece of heart and love or something that's themed at the center that saves everybody from the darkness.
Okay, the power of friendship type of situation. We'll see. We'll see. Somebody at Universal really, really, really wants a Creature of the Black Lagoon movie. I think there's no other way this keeps.
It's an IP law thing where if y'all don't at least try every couple of years,
if you don't attach a director to something every 5 years, they might snatch your rights away, which is a thing.
So actually. You know what? I think what'll be a good test is if Nosferatu does good, if it can be kind of like Nosferatu. Okay. Nosferatu looks like
dark, scary.
It's going back to like Creature of the Black Lagoon. It's going back to I'm not going to reference Creature of the Black Lagoon for Nosferatu. It's referencing Nosferatu itself.
It's got that old school classic horror, which I think is exactly what they're going for.
And, and that looks really good. So
it does.
Maybe this will also be really good.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll let y'all know how it progresses. All right, that's it for our short news. Let's go into the trailer park.
All right, rolling into the trailer park. Our first stop is Kraven the Hunter, which is, I will say, a trailer that I intentionally did not watch.
You did, and when you said it, I was like, what?
I was like, I'll just catch it when it catches me, because I had very low expectations for it, and then it was really really fishy that they released it like at midnight. They released it when everybody was asleep.
I noticed
that. So that nobody. So it was like they didn't want it to trend.
They didn't want people to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because typically trailers come out, when we catch them, it's like middle of the workday, or it's early morning, or it's like Super Bowl. It's attached to some sporting event.
This is somebody's job to determine when it's the best time to tweet
or
stuff.
It'll come out during like an NBA finals or but midnight.
Them releasing it, and it wasn't like midnight on the dot. It was like in the middle. It was definitely during the witching hour, so nobody was awake, and it was almost as if they wanted to drop it before anybody saw them.
And it didn't trend. I don't think it did. Really,
it didn't see it. It didn't really trend, so it was successful. If it did gain any traction, most of the attention was about how fishy the drop was. But anyway.
Right.
I've ended up being forced to watch this trailer in front of Alien Romulus.
I had no choice.
I did not know that it was going to play.
It's very rare we get trailers in front of movies that we haven't already seen. So good for you.
I'll say this. It's the second trailer.
It is. After it's been moved.
It looks like a longer version of the first trailer. It's just more movie. It's the same movie. They said that you can't tell by the trailer that they pushed it back for reshoots to restructure the film.
It looks like
they pushed it back for reshoots to restructure the film. This second trailer does not look much different from the first trailer. It's just like a full minute longer.
It
has more gore.
I was going to say, it's giving us, this is rated R, if you guys didn't know. So this is not like Venom, which is, I think, either PG or PG-13. This is still coming from Sony, but this is rated R. We got stabbings of the necks, ripping of the arms, gashing of the teeth. It's very John Wick-ish.
I wouldn't go that far.
I didn't say it was good. I said it was John Wick-ish in terms of how they're trying to do like the long takes and action sequences. You don't think so? You don't think it's got a little John Wick seasoning on it?
It's a lot of Aaron Taylor Johnson doing an awkward, stocky run. His running form is way too stocky for his actual body type. He's not as stocky as he's running. He's running like he's Optimus Prime.
Yeah, it's all that muscle. You got to move all that muscle around. It looks like a movie.
It looks the same.
Yeah.
When the trailer was over, so basically the trailer just shows Aaron Taylor Johnson running around, killing people very brutally, making lion sounds, and using extracted lion teeth to rip open people's throats, while Russell Crowe narrates how awful of a father he was to have created such
What is the lore of Kraven, though? Like, what I did not get from this trailer is the plot. What is the plot of this?
Kraven is a Spider-Man villain.
Yep. Spider-Man's not in this movie. Spoiler alert.
His whole premise is to be the world's greatest hunter.
Of what?
Of anything, like hunter of anything.
So he's like an
world's
assassin.
Biggest game hunter. And of course, following movie tropes.
Yeah.
The world's greatest hunter always comes around to want to hunt man, because man is world's greatest prey. And he's already hunted man. So his next greatest prey is Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is like a mutated human man with like perfect animal reflexes and stuff.
Okay, so. There is a human version of a rhino hybrid in this. So
yeah, so
I think that's the main villain, right? The rhino guy.
I think they're pivoting from Spider-Man being his foil to Rhino being his foil.
Okay.
That's why they made Rhino like a human rhino hybrid, kind of like mutant, kind of like Peter Parker is a little.
Okay.
I guess.
Except this guy looks like a rhino with pants on. So
yeah, like they're not. Kraven and Rhino usually don't butt heads in comic lore. They're usually all, it's
running
around. Spider-Man and Batman. All the villains settle their differences when they're up against,
common cause.
Spider-Man. So
right. We'll see. It's coming out December 13th. Yeah. So a couple weeks before Christmas. I didn't even bother to see what other competition it had, but we'll see. I don't know. It might have some potential. It's gonna get
taken down by that. What's that? Is that Bob Dylan movie coming out?
Oh, yeah.
Is that who it is?
That's
Bob Dylan?
Two different. Yeah, I'm sure. I don't. It is two different audiences though. I don't think the Bob Dylan crowd and the Kraven crowd. Well, you know what?
Between Bob Dylan,
that's actually a lie.
Nosferatu is gonna lose his screens.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Bob Dylan crowd and the Nosferatu and the Kraven crowd might overlap just because of Aaron Taylor Johnson. Yeah. For reasons that y'all can come to your own conclusions on. So yeah, we'll see.
I will say that I do think it's interesting they dropped this second trailer, and making it so over the top, gory and bloody. I think that is from seeing the success of Deadpool. They were like, okay, well, Deadpool.
Look at our R-rated movie, guys. We got blood too.
We have an R-rated movie coming out that's just as graphic, but probably
not as funny.
Probably doesn't mean as much to you guys,
right? So, We'll see.
Next stop on the trailer park is for a leaked trailer. This is for the Thunderbolts trailer. This is a film that comes out May the 2nd, 2025 from Marvel.
This will be our summer kickoff movie next year. And don't bother to go Google this trailer because they snatched it.
Yes.
Off. The snipers was out and was like, ain't nobody. The video of the trailer clearly looks like somebody was taking this on their phone. So thank you to whoever did that. We appreciate you. Trailer look good though.
Yeah.
It's got a I'm not going to say Winter Soldier vibe because I don't think that's what it is. Well, maybe a little bit.
It does.
It is.
We're hitting a Winter Soldier era of
I'll take
Marvel films. And that's okay because those were good.
Right. So. I'm not mad at that, but it shows we already got a little bit of the plot where it looks like all of I'm going to call them Thunderbolts, even though at this point in the movie, they're not probably Thunderbolts. They're all called to do the same job, it looks like.
Yeah, so it looks like they were set up.
Yes.
They were all sent for the same hit or target.
Right.
And that's when they all meet.
Right.
Well, most of them meet.
I do like, we get a little clip of Bob, aka Sentry. And I like that Sentry doesn't seem to be super serious, or is he just super crazy?
It's not, well, Bob Sentry has split personalities.
Oh, never mind.
So we might just be seeing like the Dr. Jekyll.
Okay.
Yeah.
we got the Bob with a little personality.
The Void is his alter ego.
Yes. Okay. But it's got Winter Soldier vibes. You're right.
We also get his logo. It looks like logo. It looks like Julie Louis-Dreyfus places his logo on a table. Yeah,
like that little belt.
Sentry
confirmed. And then we got a clip of David Harbour as Red Guardian. That was like an extended opening clip of him, being like the comedic relief. It looks like it'll be a good time.
Yeah. The only person we really didn't get clear shots of was Taskmaster.
You're right.
Glimpses of the new face mask and suit. The suit's kind of like, you know what? I would say all of their costumes look boring.
Boring is a good word.
Every single one of them.
I was going to say, I didn't
like, they even made Florence Pugh's Black Widow. It just looks like she's wearing a janitor's costume with like knee pads and shoulder pads and guns. And it doesn't fit very well.
Yeah, Bucky looks suit don't fit.
Yeah.
What's up with that? Maybe they'll do that whole little upgrade. We'll get one of those costume upgrade scenes. Those are always cool in a movie where everybody gets to go to Neiman Marcus and pick up something new.
Yeah.
But this will come out. This will be our second Marvel movie of 2025. So Captain America's first in February. This is in May. And then we get Fantastic Four in July. And then we get nothing until 2026. So I thought they were going to move this to the fall. But they said, nope, get it in now, and then we'll see y'all in 2026. So.
All right. Well, can't wait till that comes out.
All right,
next up on the trailer park is The Front Room. This stars Brandy, and it is an A24 movie. It's her return to horror. It is the second trailer. We talked about this on an earlier episode, it releases on September 6th.
I'm going to take your line from the Kraven part.
I was surprised this was on the list.
Okay.
We don't have to cover every second trailer, but
well, I was gonna say that it looks just more like the movie. I didn't get anything extra.
Yeah, it's just longer version.
I don't know who cut this trailer.
The first trailer. I don't know who's cutting either of the trailers. They're not doing the film very much marketing justice. It looks It looks like a skit. The film looks like a skit.
Yeah. It looked like an SNL skit.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that because it's Brandy.
And that may not be what the film is like, but that's how the trailers are cut.
The second trailer is very much.
The scenes they choose to highlight, especially of the grandmother actress.
There's nothing really new in this trailer either.
So
if y'all want to go support Brandy, she got a film coming out September 6th. It's coming out the same weekend as Beetlejuice. I don't know why they would do that. But y'all let us know, because I don't think I'm going to watch this one.
No.
No. You know what Brandy need to do? She need to do like Halle Berry doing right now and get on social media. And
she said she wants to come back and do I Know What You Did Last summer. Since she left.
No. Because she just going to be like supporting in that. Like,
she was supporting another one.
She just going to be like the lady that lived in a weird house or something. I need her to do like a full-fledged lead, but not this movie.
I think that was the goal with this. It just did not turn out to be great, but
okay. Well, I'm curious of what the reviews are going to be on this one.
Yeah,
and Jay will watch it and let us know.
Sure. Next stop on the trailer park for Rings of Power Season 2. This is another second trailer. This comes to Prime Video August 29th.
Looks like this whole season will be fighting.
Hopefully.
The whole time.
Yeah.
It looks like war, more war. It looks like somebody evil or good turns evil. One of the elf guys, I can't think of his name, but I'm going to rewatch the last episode of the first season so I can catch up, because some of it's a little fuzzy because it's been like 8 years or something.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings is my favorite fantasy franchise. It has always been wordy, but usually the films break up the wordiness with some action. But
you're right.
The show is just more wordy. It's
the
more for the wordy fans.
Wordy.
There are wordy fans. There are wordy Game of Thrones fans. There are wordy Lord of the Rings fans. There are wordy Harry Potter fans. And then there are like the action fans of those. They like House of Dragon. They only watch the episodes that have dragon fights. But they really love House of the Dragon.
Okay.
So, I mean, there are fans who, only care about, like, the Triwizard Cup. But they don't care about the rest of the lore. So
that's funny.
I'm in the middle where I need both. You can't talk to me too much before you show me some sword fighting.
Season 1 was very wordy, but I feel like that
was good. I still really enjoyed it.
All set up for season 2, where it looked like we ain't doing nothing.
Season 2 looks like it's giving me the 2 towers.
It looks like literally all 2
it's
towers.
Looking a little Helm's Deep, a little Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
So I'm interested.
We'll see. The first season was like one of the most watched shows on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Even if people watched it, they watched it.
Yeah.
And I hope they do the same for this.
I mean,
so I can get a season 3.
Tyler Perry's breaking Amazon records, so
not on our agenda. But that is all our trailers for the trailer park. Now let's get into our Buncha Crunch.
All right, first scoop of Buncha Crunch. Ghostbusters is getting a Netflix 3D animated series. This would be probably like the 10th Ghostbusters animated series in history.
Is that many?
Yeah, Ghostbusters animated series
now, do they
used to come on like syndicated television.
You're right. Yeah, I remember at least one. Now, they must do decently if they keep making them. Because who's watching this?
I think cartoons did not do well before, but Netflix is a different battleground. Netflix is thriving as far as babysitting television.
Oh, okay.
You can literally just put it on and
be background noise.
They don't care if you're actually watching the screen. What they care about is the streaming minutes, and I think that this will get very high streaming minutes.
Interesting. They said it will be tonally like the most recent movie, so I'm thinking that'll be more like comedy, family oriented,
geared towards kids.
Definitely geared towards the younger.
Whole purpose of casting younger for these
the last movies,
latest ones. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've never been a huge Ghostbuster fan, so I was kind of surprised that they were doing yet another animated.
Yeah, I don't think the Ghostbusters fan base is as big as it used to be. I think that's why the movies don't do as well anymore.
Well, they're not. The last one was just okay.
So yeah, maybe it'll be a hit like Camp Cretaceous.
You was close.
Camp
Come on, Jurassic Park versus Ghostbusters, sir.
Camp Cannoli.
I don't know about that. But next on our Buncha Crunch, Heather Graham and Mahala, how do you say her name? Mahala are going to join They Will Kill You with Zazie Beetz, Patricia Arquette, and Tom Felton. So we mentioned this movie last episode. It is about Zazie Beetz plays a housekeeper, I think, and she is unknowingly hired by a cult, which Patricia Arquette is the leader for, and Tom Felton is, I guess, just a cult member. We don't know who these two actresses are playing. I'm gonna guess Heather Graham is a cult member and Mahalia is...
Heather Graham's playing Drew Barrymore again.
In like Scream?
Yeah.
Which means she's gonna die?
Yeah.
Early?
Probably.
Oh, you think she... Oh, that's interesting. You know, I haven't seen Heather Graham in anything in...
Last thing I saw Heather Graham in was Stab.
Oh, I was going to say Austin
playing
Powers.
Drew Barrymore in Scream.
Interesting.
Oh, Austin Powers. Yeah. Not
the
funniest one, but...
No. I was like, when's the last time I seen her? So I was like, oh, that's cool that she's going to be in something.
I think we just saw Mahala in Leave the World Behind.
Yes. That is, she's also been in some other things before that, but that is what she has been in.
Bodies, which the first thing I saw her in, she was really good.
Right. So, very interesting cast. The premise already sounds pretty good, so we'll see how this shakes up.
Yeah.
Next, we have LaKeith Stanfield is in final talks to star in a movie called Die, My Love. That sounds inviting. Alongside Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. The movie follows a mother who struggles to maintain her sanity as she battles psychosis. Going to assume the mother is Jennifer Lawrence. Going to assume
second awful mother film.
I was gonna say she has played a mother that's going through some things before. So
she played the mother in that movie with Javier Bardem where they ate her baby at the end.
Yeah, didn't she was dating like the director or something, right? And that's why she did the movie.
Yeah, but they consumed. She birthed the Messiah, and then the people in her house ate it.
Yeah, it was very controversial, or very. I don't know if it was controversial, or just decisive.
This is her
both
thing.
Back in the day, like Robert Pattinson. So that'll be interesting to see them two together. It doesn't say who LaKeith Stanfield is playing in this, but he is pretty diverse in his role. So I think this is pretty good cast.
Yeah.
I don't know about the plot, but
who's the director?
I don't know.
Lynn Ramsay.
That name sounds familiar.
Director of We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
So. Fun.
We'll see. We'll see. Hey, every movie. That movie actually got a sequel. Did that sequel ever come out? This is the movie that has the sequel that keeps not coming out, right?
I mean,
maybe
it's
not.
Never gonna get a sequel. Ezra Miller, but
okay, maybe I'm thinking of a different movie then. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know much about this director, but we'll see. We'll see.
Cool. Okay, next scoop of Crunch is Mission Impossible 8 finally has a release date, May 23rd, 2025.
Memorial Day weekend. Tom is trying to fight back from what happened with Mission Impossible 7.
Fight himself? He did that to himself.
Mission Impossible 7 got crushed by Barbenheimer.
It did.
I think he's trying to redeem it.
And Oppenheimer. Yeah. Well, both.
Right. And I think that mainly Oppenheimer, because I think Oppenheimer had the lock on the premium screens, and Tom Cruise was trying to fight back.
IMAX screens,
right? Mm-hmm. And Nolan was like, "No." It also seems like we have dropped the part 1, part 2 situation, officially, which is very interesting. I even wonder if this movie is even going to have anything to do with the last one.
It'd be odd if they just dropped that because they left it very.
Or if it's going to be thinly, they're going to
It's so what did Ilsa die for? If you cancel it.
Yeah.
And then they don't bring back Haley Atwell. That would be super stupid because you chose Haley Atwell.
Her back, though.
But you chose Haley Atwell over Ilsa, and that's why Ilsa's dead.
That is the most.
And now you don't even bring Haley Atwell back. She was unnecessary, but
Jay not letting
dragged her out there. So
you feel about that like I feel about the end of James Bond.
It's just ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. So we'll see. It's gonna be. I'm sure he's gonna do some crazy wild stuff. The Mission Impossibles are good. The last one wasn't better than the one with Henry Cavill though. So we can get back to that. I'm all for it.
Right.
But
somebody said he should have had a twin brother.
Who, Henry Cavill?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have. He
was a good character.
He played a good bad guy in that.
He was.
He needs to do more of that and less Highlander.
Yeah.
This is just a sidebar, but maybe we'll see. Maybe he's actually alive and he's coming back in this one.
Sure.
Maybe.
After his face was ripped off by that hook.
You seen the movie Face Off?
Sure.
It works.
Okay. Okay, so that is all of the movie news, trailers, and Buncha Crunch for this week. We're going to take a short break and get into our movie review of the week for Alien Romulus.
Featuring facehuggers. This week we watched Alien Romulus, which was released August 16th, 2024. It is directed by Fede Alvarez, who also directed the movies Evil Dead and Don't Breathe, which are, would you say, cult classics at this point?
No.
Oh.
No, not Don't Breathe, but Evil Dead, sure, yes.
You know what I did not know? I did not know that Evil Dead was a remake of Sam Raimi's Evil Dead.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Don't Breathe is like his own franchise now, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so Fede been doing some things before he done got this alien.
Yeah.
We can go over the cast real quick. Kaylee Spaney plays Rain. David Johnson plays Andy. Archie Renault plays Tyler. Isabella Merced plays Kay. Spike Byrne plays Bjorn. And Aline Wu plays Navarro. I hopefully got everybody's name right this time. Okay, and runtime is 1 hour and 59 minutes. I feel like they should have just added 1 more minute to make it 2 hours, but I understand. Box office budget is $80 million, which is pretty darn good for such a movie. So we're recording a day early than usual, so we don't have all the box office
numbers. Same as the creator.
Oh, you know what? They need to just
give people with vision the money.
Okay, that, and they need to just say this is all you have. Make it work.
Yeah, because it's possible.
I feel like people would be like,
especially for sci-fi. There's two good I mean, the creator didn't get done any justice from our marketing perspective.
Well, no, because it came out during the strikes. That was the studio's fault, though.
But clearly, you can do a lot with $80 million.
Listen,
a lot better than you can do with $200 million sometimes. So
150, heck, because Borderlands was like 110, 150, something. I ain't no
accounting,
right? But I know how to save money.
Right?
How about that? Box office is currently right now $6.7 million for Thursday night previews. Opening weekend projections are around $40 million domestically, which is also pretty darn good. Ratings so far, Cinema Score is not out yet because we're recording on a Friday. That'll come out this evening. But Rotten Tomatoes, the critics have it at an 80 and the audience has it as an 86.
Certified fresh.
Certified fresh. I think that'll probably give a clue to our review for this movie. Do you want to give a basic synopsis on what Alien Romulus is about?
A group of young adults,
ragtag team,
at a Weyland-Yutani mining company have decided to salvage parts from a abandoned Weyland-Yutani space station in orbit. And because it is Weyland-Yutani, there is, of course, xenomorph activity taking place on board, and the young crewmates must now survive a xenomorph.
Right, and they don't know what hit them.
Xenomorph shenanigans unfold.
There it is. Xenomorph shenanigans. I like that. I like that. So let's talk about what we enjoyed with this here movie. I don't have my notes up.
Okay, so things that I enjoyed about the movie. Very nostalgic. It definitely feels, I mean, because the Alien films are 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. So they pretty much marked every decade. But they did the whole future, this is what the future is going to look like in the 70s thing. This movie does the exact same thing.
Yes.
But it doesn't feel old. It still feels futuristic. Set design looked amazing. Visual effects looked amazing.
Yep.
That's on par. First Alien film Ridley Scott won the Academy Award for visual effects, so
not surprising.
That's a big deal for horror and sci-fi.
I was gonna say
an Academy Award for anything.
Right, they're a little shady with anything that ain't a trauma movie. Sorry.
And I liked the added notes of horror. This is definitely more horror. Yeah. Alien is my favorite sci-fi franchise. It's definitely scary. Like it's sci-fi horror. But this one felt like it was definitely made by a horror director. I'll say that.
Yes.
Where Ridley Scott's Alien 1 felt episodic. Alien 2 was James Cameron.
Yes.
That felt like Judgment Day.
Alien 2, which I watched the day before, definitely did not give me horror.
That it felt like a James Cameron film. This one felt like a Fede Alvarez film.
Yes.
It felt like a horror movie.
You can definitely tell the guy behind this got to know that and I haven't seen Evil Dead.
Ridley Scott would not have done this to us.
Right. I have not seen Evil Dead, or what's the other one?
Don't Breathe.
Mm-hmm. But if you tell me that he remade something based on Sam Raimi, then I'd be like, oh.
Right.
And I've seen them trailers, and that's enough for me to know this guy does horror, and that's what he likes.
So those are things I liked about the movie, the way it looked. Absolutely loved the sound design. It was super loud. Everything was loud. Everything was abrupt. All the alarms are loud. Gaskets blowing off. Electricity cackles.
Guns.
Lots of slimy and slithering sounds.
Things that dropped in the night.
Lots of fleshy noises when people were being killed or being assaulted by the alien.
Right.
And I did like the cast. I think the cast was perfectly made up for a horror film where it's a great group of people that you want to see be killed by a xenomorph.
Now that's interesting.
Like, because a slasher flick,
yes,
is supposed to have a good ensemble cast.
Yeah.
That you want to see, go through the struggle of surviving like a
right.
xenomorph.
And you're not saying that because you didn't like the cast, like these characters were annoying.
No, the characters who were made to be unlikable and annoying were made to be unlikable and annoying on purpose to fit the aesthetic of a slasher flick, because there are people that you want to see be destroyed by the xenomorph.
There's definitely at least one in this.
And this movie does a good job at doing that. And it makes it very easy to be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's start axing.
Get to the meat.
Yeah.
Get to the meat of the killing.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I also had a note where it said, where I said size and scale that I liked about the movie. So the ship that they go raid is freaking huge.
The space station.
I mean, it's like, it reminds me of the ship in The Creator that was like super enormous and you could like see it from space. It was
like the what's the Justice League, the Watchtower?
Yeah,
they float in space. It looks as big as the Watchtower.
Huge. And I typically give a little eye roll when they say something's made for IMAX. This movie was made for IMAX.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the screen, it fully gives you the depth and the grandioseness of the planet, of the ship. There's rings around the planet.
You really need to see Interstellar.
You know what? They were supposed to re-release it
coming to IMAX, I think, in
September.
November.
Yeah, they moved it back. I promise. I'm going to see it.
Yes, you need to see Interstellar.
I'm going to go see Interstellar. But this movie, there are rings around the planet in this movie, and they're pretty prominent because they kind of play a role in the plot. They were, like, all of that was very, very good. Like, if you're going to see this, just go to see it at IMAX.
Yeah.
I did like the use of the young crew versus your standard older veteran crew. And I think I like that because it kind of gave a little bit of, I don't call it innocence, but a little bit of like, they don't know no better because they're young kind of situation.
And that made it a lot better, because what really frustrates me about all sci-fi movies are they're always built up of a cast of professionals, mostly scientists.
That's been doing this job forever.
Doing this job forever, that got this, role, and their first instinct is to touch stuff.
Yes.
And these kids are kids. They're not scientists. They're like scavengers. So when they touch stuff, you're like, oh, that's stupid to do because you don't know what it is. But it's less frustrating because they don't know better.
Right. They like the fact that they went to go raid this ship was already kind of like, and you understand their plight, I guess, of why they want to do this. And the
movie does a good job at convincing us that they would do this.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I also had another note that they did a good job of establishing that the crew was already friends real quick.
Yes.
Kind of how we did Borderlands, and we were like, we just don't believe that these people even like each other, or we don't care the fact they're in a crew. They did a real good job of, I don't know if it's the writing, the directing, whatever, of like, these are friends and we want to follow these friends and we care about what these friends are at least about to do.
Right.
Even if we like ready to see them get xenomorphed. Right. We still want to see like, okay, well, what is this character going to do? What is this character going to do? And the relationship between Rain and Andy. Yeah. Because Andy is the synthetic in this. Very good. And they, right off the bat, you could tell that she really cared about Andy, who she called her brother, even though he was a synthetic. Yes.
Okay, so any other non-spoiler thoughts that you want to throw out?
Did a really good job of building up tension. Lord. I apologize to the young kid that was sitting next to me because I probably made him jump. He jumped a couple times too, but I probably made him jump quite a few times because this movie, even though there's not a lot of jump scares, I don't know, something, even though you knew something. Yeah, even though you knew something was about to happen. When it happened, you was like, dang. So they did a good job of building up the tension, especially once they get on the ship and they're like, scavenging around, trying to find stuff, turning stuff on. You just kind of like, your body's all like locked up because you know what's
because the characters are helpless. Like they weren't. These weren't the Colonial Marines. These were just random kids.
And they don't come onto the ship like ready to fight because they just like, we about to grab what we need to grab and we about to head out. Like,
right. So the tension, they did a really good job in making it seem tense when they were like up against a xenomorph because this is like a colonist. This is a colonist coming against a xenomorph. They didn't come up here prepared for like heavy arms fire or anything like that.
Some of them hadn't even been like off the planet
Kaylee Spaney's character hadn't been in space.
Right. So she had like saw the sun for the very first time in this. So you get a good sense of like, oh, these characters are going through a lot. They about to go through a lot more. You know it, but they don't know it. So it sets up that moment of like,
they're about to go through the worst situation.
Exactly. Like, it's not going to be good for you, but I'm curious to see how it's going to go.
As far as movie prep, I was incorrect. I thought that good movie prep for this, because it comes between Alien and Aliens 2, that this would be, movie prep would be Aliens 2, because the trailers and the cast gave more of an Aliens 2 vibe. This is more, movie prep would be more Aliens 1. I would agree. This more focuses on ties to the first Alien film.
Several callbacks there.
And it does also reference every film in the franchise, though, minus the AVP
combos.
Predator ones.
Okay,
so, yeah, it definitely touches on some Prometheus. It touches on basically almost every
part of Alien 1.
And there are like some notes that you'll recognize from 2 and 3, and even Resurrection. So, but we'll save all that for the end.
Okay. Rescue, right? Okay, I was like, Resurrection. Any other non-spoiler thoughts?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna go in spoilers for this movie in 3, and 2, and 1. So, one thing about this movie that was, like, you go into this movie thinking everybody gonna die, and essentially that's what happens. We get one lone character that does survive. We'll explain that at the end. But
so we knew how it was gonna start.
Right. This very much is, if you've never seen an Alien, then you don't know no better.
Right.
But if you have seen one, like, all these characters, like, most of them ain't gonna make it. Right. And that was okay, because we actually were interested in the journey that each of these characters take and how they're gonna die. You mentioned this in when we were reviewing, I think, A Quiet Place. Like, when we knew at the beginning that Lupita's character wasn't gonna make it.
Yeah, we knew the rules.
But But we still cared about, well, how y'all gonna get it?
Right.
And everybody gets it in a very good way.
Yeah. So I like that. I liked the how they set it up. The reason that they go up to the derelict space station is because they're on what's called Jackson Star Mining Colony. It's owned by Weyland-Yutani. Of course. And this colony operates by work contracts.
Yes, so hours or something, right?
You are contracted to what it looks like years, but
yeah.
But basically, it adds up to years.
It adds
up to years, but they contract you for work, and you have to fulfill your work contract working in the mines, where it looks like a lot of people got diseases and quite often died, like our main character Rain's parents did.
Funny, there's a canary. So this movie's supposed to take place in the future, but one of the miners is taking out a canary in a box, and the canary, somebody gonna correct me if I'm wrong, but the canary used to be used when they used to do coal mining to dictate if it was safe or not. So I find it interesting that very old school method was used in a movie that's like super, super far in the future.
Yeah.
I just made that connection.
But
it looks like a trash job, by the way, on this particular planet.
The only way they get off the planet is if they can get transferred to a different work site.
Yes.
That's to a different Weyland-Yutani owned planet.
So
the reason they go up to the space station is because the only way to get from place to place across space, because it's so far, is by ship, one.
Yep.
And you need a cryopod so that you don't age the entire 9-year journey to wherever you're trying to go.
Right.
So it made sense why they were going to go up there.
Like,
they were, and the planet was so crap. Like, the mining colony was so crap, so trash. Rain fulfilled like her required hours and was ready to transfer, and the moment she speaks up and she's ready to transfer, they increase the hour requirement,
and she has to stay 5 more years to do work because she's not eligible.
Probably won't even live, because most people don't.
Right.
It didn't seem like there were very many adults.
No, it
on
didn't.
The entire planet.
It were little kids and some adults, I guess, coming out of the mine.
Not a lot of older people.
But you understand why these kids, I mean, they're like in their 20s, but I'll call them kids, want to get off this planet.
It was die here in dire space.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
And if you're going to go see the sun while you're at it, essentially. So the plot of the movie makes sense. It wasn't some cheesy, like, I'm glad they weren't trying to like steal loot.
These weren't dumb kids going into a haunted house.
Right. I'm glad they weren't trying to like fulfill some prophecy or, we just want to, I don't know. The reasoning made sense of why they wanted.
You just needed something thin enough to get them up there.
Exactly.
And that worked.
And we actually don't spend a whole lot of time on that planet. We get there in maybe the first 15 minutes.
That's another non-spoiler note. So yeah, we kick off and we're on the station.
Yeah.
Early, but the first xenomorph doesn't show up until about an hour in.
Yeah, but we get some face huggers before
If you do notice, that's a trend in most of the Alien films.
The
first alien doesn't show up until an hour in the film.
Right, and then you get nothing but xenomorph for the other 45
and then it's just relentless
to an hour.
Alien grossness for the last hour. So
yeah. Right, so let's get into these characters and how they got it. So, and I'm probably not gonna get these in order, but Navarro is first to get it.
Yes, which we knew.
Because it's in the trailer.
And we saw that at Comic-Con.
But I guess we didn't see what happens immediately after. So she gets face hugged, and her friends actually try to save her, but of course, because they don't know no better. Mm-hmm. And then we run into Rook, who is from the first Alien, but it's only half a Rook. But I literally mean half. It's only his top half, and he's trying to explain to them, she's lost for the world. And they're like, no, we want to save her. So she gets face hugged.
So Rook, let's stop at Rook for a second.
Yeah.
So they resurrected Ian Holm to bring him back as...
Is that what you would call it, resurrected?
Well, they exhumed his spirit at least. This was creepy. It was very creepy.
It was weird.
And it would have been less creepy if it was a better effect.
Yes.
It was still, but it still would have been creepy because Ian Holm's like dead. He's been dead for several years.
Yes. So this is very much, it's not even...
He was used a lot. He was used a lot in this film. It was more than Tarkin was used in Rogue One. Because Tarkin in Rogue One... Have you seen Rogue One?
Nope.
Tarkin was the original Imperial general from the New Hope.
Okay.
He was only in it for a couple glimpses, but he was long dead, and the effect didn't look good. They used Ian Holm for the most of the film.
He's in a good chunk.
He's a main character.
And I say half because literally it's
kind of an antagonist.
He's like the villain.
Yeah,
I guess that's not an alien.
Right.
But his torso and up is all we get. And he's got his bloody white goo everywhere. And the digital recreation of his face, probably literally the only nitpick I have about this movie is the inclusion of a man who is gone.
So
in this movie.
Ian Holm is credited for voice and appearing in the film.
Okay.
But there's a different actor who did the performance. So they took an actor who looked, I guess, to them close to Ian Holm, and they digitally put his face on top of it. Mm-hmm.
No. I'm sorry. I'm going to give that 2 stars.
It was a horrible effect. And we talked about it a little bit after the film, how it looks better when they do de-aging because the person is there, present and alive.
Right,
and
to move around.
You're referencing their own face.
You can place their nose and mouth in the proper location.
This wasn't good.
It wasn't. And unfortunately, we look at Rook for quite some time in this, and he's trying to tell everybody else on the crew that Navarro is probably not going to make it. They end up getting the facehugger off of her, but of course they don't know no better. And he's kind of like, she might have a seed in her. Good luck.
Right.
And I guess another thing that we didn't mention is that Andy initially is a very
he's out of date.
Yeah,
so he's like a slow phone. So when they meet Rook that tells Andy, he thanks him because he says, "You are the backbone of our colonial efforts." So
right.
I think Andy was like a very early model android that was used to help colonize.
He acts very early model. He kind of has like an innocence about him, but in the point of the movie, his chip gets switched because they need him to open up a door, and Andy become real like self-aware and smart. And what they want to do is take Navarro off the ship, back to their ship, to say, help her out or whatever, because she's kind of like coughing her after the face hugger. And as you see in the trailer, she gets chest bursted. And what the crazy part about that scene is that Andy don't want to let her back on the ship. And they were like, no, like, Andy, what are you talking about? Like, she's our friend. She's part of the crew. Like, he's like, no, she can't come on this. I'm like, smarter now. I know better. And they let her on. And that basically starts the chain reaction of everybody dying pretty much after that.
So the reason Andy had a personality change is because they put the Weyland-Yutani science officer chip in his neck so that he would have the credentials needed to open the doors. But like Ash, who was the original Weyland-Yutani science officer, their prime objective by Mother is get the alien specimen. And that goes back from the first Alien.
Yeah.
The prime objective is crew expendable, get the alien specimen to Earth. And Rook basically explains, we were attempting to do that. And I thought this was very interesting. So the film opens up with Weyland-Yutani in space scavenging the remains of the Nostromo, which we know from Ripley blew up to try to destroy the xenomorph, but we know the xenomorph got onto her escape pod, so she had to shoot it out of the airlock of the escape pod to kill it. So the company ends up finding the xenomorph, I guess, fossilized in space.
Yeah, we don't need to.
But the company ends up finding the xenomorph,
and
floating around in space, and recovering it. And because xenomorphs are the perfect specimen, and they don't need like food and water, the xenomorph is perfectly fine. So they bring it onto the space station, and it unleashes havoc and pretty much kills everybody on board.
But not before they get samples and whatnot from it.
Right before they are able to, the facehuggers are artificially created.
Yep.
So going back to the trivia from the beginning of the episode, this movie doesn't include the egg pods that the facehuggers jump out of.
They don't need them
because they genetically engineered them
in Ziploc bags
from the DNA that they got from the xenomorph, that alien that Ripley shot out of the airlock. Which I love the fact that it still had the grappling spike in its back from when she shot it. When it was hanging. It
didn't know how to take it out
when it was hanging up on the ceiling like Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
that was weird. But they made facehuggers from the DNA they got from it. They made these like facehuggers in like these vacuum sealed bags that were frozen on the station.
So many facehuggers.
And they made Prometheus goo, which is another note that I have here. So they name dropped the Prometheus project, where we saw Michael Fassbender's David create the first xenomorph using the black goo from the engineers.
Prometheus is a prequel, but it's the latest movie that came out in the Alien franchise. right?
Covenant was the latest one to come out in
the
you're
franchise. Right. So Prometheus, then Covenant, but they're both placed before all of these
Prometheus movies. Rebooted the franchise.
Gotcha.
Into what it is now, the modern day franchise.
Okay.
So they have the Black Goo and they have fake xenomorph. Well, fake face huggers that they
say that 5 times fast.
Genetically created. And so Andy's new objective is to do what's best for the company. So he, of course, is protecting Rain, I guess, because that's his secondary objective. Because he said his objectives have been overwritten.
Right, because of the chip that they swapped out. Now, of course, they didn't know that that's what they was doing because they're just trying to get Andy's to have access to open doors and stuff as they get around.
Right, because their ship at this point has been locked in the station, and the only way to get out is to get the goo, like Rook said.
Yep.
And Rook will open the doors to let them out if they get the goo, and they promise to take the goo back to the surface so that it can be picked up by the company. Right.
But Navarro dying and her chest burster coming out. I don't even remember where it went, but it went somewhere.
We don't see it because after it burst out, she kicks the controls on the ship and it crashes into the station.
Exactly. And the crashing of the station actually shifts so the station is in orbit and they only have 36 hours before the ship crashed into the rings. That's why I said the rings come back up.
Yes.
So they got to do whatever they need to do in 36 hours. And Tyler is like, we need like 36 minutes, like we about to be in and out. Right. But when they do the crash into the space station, it shifts its axis. Now they got an hour.
Right.
So they got an hour to basically find their way back to their ship so Rook can let them go so they can go back home.
Right.
And we pretty much, it's funny because I think when it says that in the movie.
This is all prior to the xenomorph.
Yes.
All this is unfolded prior to this.
I was going to say, I think when they say that in the movie, there's actually like an hour left of the movie.
Minus the goo. We haven't gotten to the goo yet, but we've definitely gotten to the face huggers part.
Oh, yes. Navarro's been face hugged. We've seen face hugs being defrosted and coming out of these Ziploc bags. And now we get back on the ship because when Andy is like, nope, Navarro, you can't come back on this.
Yeah.
Kay, who is Isabella Mercedes' character, and Spike, who plays Bjorn, who is the one character you love to hate in this because there's always one, and Navarro, they all go back to the ship and they just gonna leave everybody else behind.
Yeah, so their plan was to
I was like,
they were gonna undock until Rain promised to turn Andy off. And then they were going to come back and get him, but they didn't want to bring Andy back because Andy wanted to
now they don't trust Andy.
Kill Navarro.
And Bjorn doesn't like Andy because the synthetic is the reason why his mom died. So there's some bad blood there. So he was going to leave them, but little did they know there's a chest burster now in Navarro. It comes out, and then that basically what kicks off chaos, destruction, and mayhem for everybody else.
So very quickly, Navarro and Bjorn both die. The alien has transformed into a growth pod stuck to the wall, and that's how Bjorn dies. He tries to electrocute it to death, and it
basically the blood, right?
Yeah,
just acid.
He tries to electrocute it to death, and its tail comes out and strikes him, but it's oozing the xenomorph blood goo.
Acid blood.
He dies not from being eaten by the xenomorph, but he dies because the acid blood melts a hole through his chest. Because he falls under it. His
fingers so we see his fingers like get burned up, and then it drops on his chest, and then it explodes or something. The man dead.
His death was kind of meh because it wasn't like a xenomorph death. It was kind of just like a bystander death because he just wasn't reacting fast enough.
And we kind of knew it was coming.
But I didn't mind. I was ready for him to go from the beginning, and that goes back to my note where the movie did a really good job at making the characters like good characters that weren't annoying, but you don't mind seeing them be killed by a xenomorph.
You're just looking forward to like how they gonna get it.
Bjorn was the jerk character who was mean for his own reason, but I mean,
he was just extra mean though.
Yeah, it's the situation. It's tense enough. We don't need the added tension of you being rude and unserious.
Right.
So I was ready for him to die, and he didn't last very long, which was good.
No, he didn't.
No.
And then next we get Kay. And Kay kind of had it, I think, the worst. So Kay tells Rain that she's pregnant, which will come up be significant later. And she basically wakes up and I don't remember if she sees the xenomorph. She sees the xenomorph come out of the shell and she's trying to escape out of this room. Mm-hmm. She gets out of the room, but she doesn't close the door behind her. Bad mistake. She falls down into like another part of the ship. And as she's trying to get up, the xenomorph is now making its way like around. She's trying to be like real quiet and creepy. And this is the part where all the tension builds up. She finally gets to the door with the rest of the crew, but they can't open the door. And Andy is like, I'm not opening that door because there's a xenomorph in there. And I think this is our first full picture of the xenomorph.
Yeah, so that's our first full look at the xenomorph.
Okay, and then as she is trying to escape and Andy is not opening the door, xenomorph snatch her up and she gone. And I think that was the first time I jumped. And the man next to me was like, did you just jump? And I was like, sorry, I was scared.
So eventually, after surviving being on the ship, they get to the lab. Mm-hmm. And they have gotten the goo. They're on their way back to the station.
Yep.
And that's when we get the next death. Kay's brother, Tyler, is killed by one of the xenomorphs. We're trying to save Rain and Kay. Yeah. And that's where we get our first xenomorph head burst.
Xenomorph head burst.
Yes, where they shoot the tongue out and go through your skull. Skull burst, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you knew Tyler was going to get it.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if Tyler was going to make it to like the very end, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't make it to the very end.
So Rick gives us some exposition about the Prometheus goo. He basically says what we learned from David, which is the goo was believed to create stronger human life.
Like a super soldier serum.
Yeah. Humans weren't supposed to. Humans have very short lifespans. We aren't supposed to conquer the stars, according to Rook. So we need to be genetically altered in order to survive space and time. So they are taking the goo to the station. Rain gives the goo to Kay to take back to the ship, right? So that she can save Andy,
who's been knocked out by a xenomorph.
So while Rain is saving Andy and factory resetting him so that he goes back to being normal Andy, Kay's character makes a very stupid decision, and because I guess because she's injured, she injects herself with the black goo because she thinks it'll make her better. But I think she's also trying to like protect.
I think she's trying to protect. Like she's been injured, and I think she's also trying to like protect her baby in a sense. Like
that didn't go for me.
Yeah, she.
I mean, they tell you one thing, and it's someone who's never been pregnant, never will be. One thing I know is that for anybody that is pregnant, they constantly are telling you not to take anything. Don't do this. Don't take this if you are pregnant or expecting.
Right.
You know, so.
And one thing you didn't mention is that we actually see. So Rook does his exposition about like, you know, the goo or whatever. And maybe a few seconds, I don't know if it's a couple scenes later, next scene, we actually see a video of this rat that they squashed and then injected with the goo, and then the rat comes back to life, and you're like, oh, this goo gonna like raise people from the dead. But then we pan over and see that the rat, whatever it is, has exploded outside of its like cage that it was in, and it's like this weird, deformed, huge looking piece of like ugh.
So it's exactly what we saw in Alien Covenant. Okay. When Michael Fassbender is narrating how he killed the engineers when he dropped the goo out of the ship.
Yeah.
And it fell on all the people, and they all like turned into nasty black looking tree things.
Just gross. So we as an audience know that the goo don't turn you into nothing good.
Yeah.
But our cast and characters have no idea, and Kay has now injected herself.
And it made no sense why she would do that.
With this goo. And you're just like, this
because like you had pointed out earlier, the brother was going to inject her with it, and Rain stopped him because she said, I don't trust it.
Exactly.
And she wasn't even conscious. Kay wasn't even conscious when that was going to happen the first time.
Right.
So she's injecting herself with something that she has no idea what it is, where it came from. Right. And she wasn't even aware when they were going to inject her with it the first time.
Right. Because I think Andy was kind of egging them on, like, you know, you can use it or whatever. Because I don't think Andy at that point knew either. Like, it turns you into some horrible, deformed creature.
So that gets us to our third act, where our survivors, Rain, Kay, and Andy, have returned to the ship. And one thing I've always loved about alien movies is the third act. They really do a good third act. Third act of Alien 1, Ripley on the ship by herself.
Yeah.
Alien 2.
When she goes back to go get... Oh, no. Alien 2 is when she goes back to go get Newt.
Right. And she has the robot fight with the Queen. Epic third act.
Mm-hmm.
Alien 3 didn't have an epic third act, but Alien 3 was a good movie. It had its strengths.
It's decisive.
And Resurrection had its epic third act, which will remind a lot of people of this third act. So Alien Resurrection's third act included that nasty albino-looking xenomorph that was a clone from Ripley.
Exactly. That was her quote-unquote child.
Right, because they cloned her, which cloned the Queen, which the cloning the Queen from Ripley gave the Queen a human reproductive system.
Exactly.
That's why the alien came out looking so weird.
Uh-huh.
But it had a weird third act where Ripley and Winona Ryder had to fight a weird, nasty-looking alien-human hybrid.
And how she got rid of that thing was very gross.
And that is exactly where we end up once again. How do we find ourselves here yet again with Alien Romulus?
So we think our crew is good. So they've disabled Rook. So Rook is officially out of the picture because they take over piloting the ship because now Andy's back to normal. They've put
Rain in her draws.
Like Ripley.
All alien protagonists.
She about to go to cryo sleep. She got Kay in her little pod about to go to cryo sleep. Andy is hooked up, plugged up, getting charged. And ready to go because he don't need to be, he don't need to be frozen or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And he notices, and then Kay's pod starts tweaking, flashing, stuff's going on. So Andy wakes up, and I think he also wakes up Rain. I can't remember, but anyway, somebody pulls Kay's pod open, and she's giving birth to a
so she goes from not even showing to being fully 9 months pregnant.
Exactly.
And she gives birth to a human pod. Yeah. So it looks like a facehugger pod, but it's a human pod, and it's shaped like an almond. It looks like a nasty, huge, slimy almond.
It looks like a peach pit.
So she gives birth to it, which, I mean, it's not a Fede Alvarez movie unless something gross happens to a lady's private parts.
Oh,
but,
didn't know that was
that Don't Breathe had the turkey baster moment.
Oh.
The Evil Dead had the demon crawl up in her. That's how it possessed her.
Absolutely never.
This had Isabella Merced giving birth to an alien human hybrid.
Yes, thing. Right. So Kay tries to, Rain tries to, I guess, she tries to dispose
of it.
Right.
She tries to throw it out the back of the ship.
She rips the umbilical cord. She's running with the thing, but it's starting to do its acid blood. She drops it. She tries to freeze it with the little thing that they have. Mm-hmm. And we
see inside of the little egg pod, we see a human baby.
It starts to hatch.
Yes.
Right. And it's got like a big head, but a human face. Mm-hmm. It's very pale. It looks real. You said you were not expecting it to look like a human.
I wasn't expecting it to look so human.
I actually was.
It looked more human than alien.
It looked like a man. It looked
like Slender Man.
It looked like a grown man.
Yeah.
On a baby's body. And I actually I didn't expect the grossness, but I wasn't surprised it looked like a human because I was like, it was birthed from a human, and she was already pregnant. So I'm feeling like it deformed what was already there.
So the third act big bad is us watching Kaylee Spaney fight this albino human alien hybrid man that looks more like a really creepy man.
It looks like
with a xenomorph tail and like some
a xenomorph back,
really long appendages. He's got the tubes in his back, like the xenomorph. We can see his spine and his bone protrusions.
I think he has a tail.
It's got the platinum teeth.
It got teeth like
and
platinum.
It's got like a slimy xenomorph tongue instead of like the toothy shootout tongue.
Exactly.
It's got like a tentacled slimy tongue that spikes out in the teeth. Kind of like the vampires from Blade 2.
Yeah, it's really tall. It's probably like 8 or 9 feet tall.
Yeah, it's extremely tall.
It's tall like a xenomorph, so it's got its characteristics there. It has a pelvis, but no private parts.
Has a
just
pelvis.
A hole.
No private parts. It's oblong.
Yeah,
so
it's not
deformed.
It's not symmetrical.
Yeah,
it's not like a symmetrical human.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally it crawls around like a xenomorph. So it's crawling around behind the scenes before we even see it. But when we do see it, nightmare fuel, as you like to say.
So we get another callback to Alien 1, where Kaylee Spaney has to stealthily climb into a spacesuit to prepare for battle. while the alien is trying to find her. So we get her climbing into the spacesuit, and she basically does the same kind of thing that they do in all the alien movies, which is
fight it,
blow the thing out the airlock,
right?
Blow it into space.
She actually, and of course, there's a struggle. So she's like trying to get the hatch open or whatever, and she's like, it's wind and it's dirt and dust or whatever.
It's swiping at her.
She falls as it falls, and then we think it's gone for a hot second, and then this is probably the second jump scare of the movie.
I knew it was coming. This one didn't scare me. I knew this one was coming.
It jumps out of whatever it is, but this time it looks like it's been burned. So now we have this human xenomorph weird thing that's got third-degree burns on it.
I don't think it was because it's a hybrid. I don't think it's good for space.
So it was probably
when
just getting
she
tore
burned
up
it out,
space.
I was like, oh, it's gonna need oxygen or something because it's part human. But yeah,
it looks like it needs some.
It looked like
oxygen.
its flesh was coming apart while it was in space.
Yeah, it was third-degree burns, no oxygen type of situation. But she eventually gets it. And by the way, the countdown is still going on for the fact that the ship is about to run into the rings.
Yeah,
that ain't stopped. The countdown has not stopped.
So the rings are like a hard rock-like surface.
Exactly.
And it's not like you're gonna just blow through a sheet of dust. It's like you're gonna crash into a planet.
Exactly.
So very slowly.
She eventually gets the alien. She pulls the final lever. The alien falls and the ship falls.
Yeah.
And she quote unquote makes it.
Yeah, she kills the alien by dumping the cargo portion of the ship
with the alien on it.
Alien down with it.
Right,
so
right,
maybe
right,
it's
right.
dead.
I mean,
it didn't kill the first. Somehow the xenomorph from the first movie has been alive.
I don't think he inherited
it's
the
not
xenomorph,
alive now, but survived.
Space breathing qualities.
Yeah.
It's too young. It's too young. So, and one thing we didn't mention is that Kay dies.
Yeah, so it eats its mother.
Yeah. So when Kaylee or Rain makes it back up to like the top of the ship where the pods were, we see that I don't know what you want to call it, the mutant is eating its mama.
Yeah.
So that was, so Kay don't make it. Andy is knocked out pretty bad. So he's damaged, but not quote unquote dead. And then Rain is our final survivor, much like the first Alien.
All right. So any random notes you want to go over?
Worst nightmare scene was the scene with we didn't talk about this one. There's a scene where they have to go into a room to get to their ship, but it's flooded with face huggers. So they have to heat the room to their same temperature so the face huggers don't detect them.
Yeah, that's my note. Face hugger room is the worst.
It was literally the things of nightmares because they can't talk. They're not supposed to be making noise. They have to move really slow. They can't have goosebumps.
And that was interesting because they never explained how the face huggers work in any of the other Alien films.
I was wondering if they.
So we finally get an explanation because they don't have eyes. So it's always like, well, how did the face huggers know? Because one thing
where
about the face huggers,
stuff.
they know where to jump and they know when something is alive, a living organism, and when something is
because they don't try
synthetic.
to face hug synthetic.
So they explain that face huggers detect by heat signature. Heat is like sound to them.
Yeah.
So a sound does alert them, but they don't know where you are without your heat.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that's why they have to raise the temp of the room to match their body temp. So then they don't have that heat signature. Obviously that scene don't go right.
No.
Because Tyler's butt is talking.
Yeah.
And then he gets like goosebumps. And that's the scene from the trailer where Andy says run.
Yeah.
So that was pretty bad. Another note I had was poor Isabella, or what's her real name? Kay. Kay was actually chilling on the ship that they came on until Navarro's butt showed up with the thing in her chest.
Yeah.
And she didn't know what was going on. She didn't know nothing about no face huggers, no blood, no goo. No, nothing until they showed up, and she died a pretty horrible death.
Everybody pretty much deserved to die except for Andy, Rain, and Kay.
Oh, Andy flipped the script against his own will.
Andy was fine until they did what they did.
You're right. They switched.
Andy
his
didn't
chip.
deserve to be up there by himself. But
you're right. You're right. And I guess one thing we didn't mention is they were going to leave. So whatever place they're trying to get to get in these cryopods to go. It doesn't allow synthetics. So they were going to leave. Rain was going to have to decommission him when they got wherever they were going. And she didn't tell him that. And they were like, you shouldn't leave people behind. So that was one of the reasons why she went back to go get Andy after he was knocked out, was because they were like, oh, you just gonna leave that man behind. So I guess he didn't deserve it to die.
Tyler, I feel like Tyler deserved it because
he did send him up
I
there.
got the sense that he knew it wasn't a ship in the first place when he pitched it to him. So the original pitch was that there was a abandoned Weyland-Yutani ship that had pods on it they were going to get.
And it's more like
when they got up there, it was a whole space station. And he didn't seem very surprised. He was kind of like, yeah, okay, it was a space station.
It was almost like two space stations together.
He lied about the scope of the mission in the first place.
Okay.
And Rain knew something was up too when they showed up and she saw it was a ship and she was ready to go because it's a Weyland-Yutani ship. It's got a dead android on it. The ship looked like it's been through crap and something bled through like 7 floors of it.
A big hole.
Yeah. He grossly undersold the whole mission.
He did.
He definitely deserved to go.
He did.
Bjorn deserved to go because he was annoying.
I didn't mind
also,
him.
You're on an alien ship that y'all don't need to be on. Nobody has record of this ship anywhere because y'all haven't heard about it anywhere.
Nope.
Weyland-Yutani is right below y'all and they haven't come up to get it. That's strange.
It's just floating by itself.
Your friend got face hugged and you don't even have the sense to even listen to the android that may know something. You're going to take her back to the ship anyway.
He was clouded by his past.
You deserved to get it.
One of my other notes says,
and Navarro refused to help in the face hugger room.
There was a moment where she froze
and
she was not helping them open the door to get out. And I was like, girl, why are you just standing there?
And I didn't like the fact that y'all made such a point of being like, oh, we didn't even want Kaylee Spaney up here. We really just wanted a robot. But Kaylee Spaney was the one who was doing most of the work to save everybody.
So basically, Rain and Andy probably would have been fine by themselves.
Yeah.
If the rest of the knuckleheads wasn't doing all the extra stuff. Oh, and Kay. Kay was actually innocent. She just wasn't very. Yeah. She just did a really dumb move. Yeah. Dumb move.
She almost made it. She almost made it. She could have lived because they were right next to the cryo tubes, and we went. But we had a third act. So.
Exactly. Right, which was pretty epic.
Favorite line or scene? I'll go first.
Okay.
My favorite scene will be the floating shootout. So we get a scene where. It's explained very early on that you can't shoot the xenomorphs, and I like that they explain the rules early.
Yeah.
You can't shoot the xenomorphs because they have asked for blood. They'll burn through the hull of the ship, and everybody will die.
Yep.
So Kay has the bright idea, because Andy tells a lot of dad jokes repeatedly, to shut off the gravity so that the xenomorphs float, so that when she shoots them all, their blood floats too. And it works.
Yeah.
It actually goes off without a hitch, and I thought it was very creative. It showed them being very smart. And it was tense because after killing them all, she had to float through the spiral of acid blood in order to get across to the elevator.
Once again,
I thought that was tense.
The smartest in the room was Rain. Yeah. So she deserved to live. That would have been my favorite scene, but I had a backup, which was the xenomorph hiding behind the elevator. So
that was funny.
There's a scene where Kay's trying to escape. Andy's trying to help her, and what he does is he pushes a lever or something to make the elevator fall down to kill all the xenomorphs that are crawling up the elevator shaft. There's one particular xenomorph that's really close to Rain, who I initially thought was like, oh, he killed everybody. Rain is cool. Psych. As the elevator drops and we pan back to Rain, who's trying to crawl back up, the xenomorph pops his head around the corner like, hey, girl.
So that's the same xenomorph.
I didn't forget about you.
That popped out of Navarro.
Exactly.
And you can tell because this particular xenomorph, that the titular xenomorph of this film has a burn mark on its head from when Bjorn tried to electrocute it to death in its little pod.
Okay. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it has that little scar opening on its dome.
Okay, so this was a very determined xenomorph. But yeah,
they made him very smart. I like that from the beginning. When we first see it chasing Kay, it waits.
It does.
Because Andy, it's waiting for them to open the door for Kay so they can jump through and kill them all. And Andy recognizes that because it's got the information from the science officer.
And that's why Andy won't open up the door. Yeah, and so Tyler and Rain are like super mad at Andy. Andy's like, nope, it's literally waiting until we open up this door. And then when Kay gets it, he's like, sorry, but all of us would have died. And it's like, dang, Andy.
Yeah.
But I get it, Andy. I get it.
Okay, so final words about the movie and our rating.
Highly enjoyed. As somebody who's not a horror person, as I always say, this is my kind of horror. It's sci-fi horror. for some reason, aliens tearing up people in space is my jam when it comes to being scared. And I was scared, but I was thoroughly entertained. So I'm gonna give it 4.5 Nicole Kidmans, and I'm gonna say half off because the Rook. Sorry, I gotta take half off for the Rook digital face.
I'm gonna give it 4.5 as well.
Okay.
My negative would be the same. Rook.
It was just.
I liked Rook as a plot device.
Yes. Nothing wrong with that.
Here's the thing. Lance Henriksen is alive.
Okay.
It could have been Bishop. It didn't need to be Ash.
Oh.
It was Ash for the sake of calling it back to Alien 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Bishop didn't come around until... So they say in Aliens 2 that she was in stasis for like 50-something years.
54.
So I guess this
57.
This was closer to Alien 1. Bishop didn't come around to Alien 2. And then Bishop gave that whole speech about how the Ash versions were... bad, had a defect or something. So maybe Bishop wasn't around then, I guess, in the timeline.
That's what I figured is why they didn't pick
Lance
him.
Henriksen would have been a better choice. It would have still given the same nostalgia factor.
Or just make up a different synthetic. Like, this would have been fine.
I mean, the whole point was for nostalgia. But there was a living artificial person around that could have done this. The effect was bad. I liked him as a plot device. Yeah. And it made sense. The effect was bad.
It took you out of the scene.
It was almost harder to look at fake in home than it was to look at the alien human hybrid at the end.
Okay. Well, look, I was going to say his half torso because he was like gooey and...
I didn't even mind that. It was the face.
It was the face.
The face was nightmare fuel.
It was the face. Yeah. So almost perfect movie except for that one little nudge of that decision for the digital face.
Yeah.
But I would highly, highly recommend you see it in IMAX.
Absolutely.
If you're going to check it out.
I have the Blu-ray box set for the first 4 films.
So are you going to get the new one when they add this one?
I am going to get, because I also have Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Yeah. So I'm actually going to add this to the list. I don't know where I would rank it yet.
Too soon for you?
It's too soon for me to rank it.
A lot of people are saying number 3.
But I feel like 3 is too high.
Oh, really?
For me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you put above it? I'm just curious. Outside of 1 and 2.
I would say this is a better film than Alien Resurrection by far. Yes. Alien Resurrection was more fun to watch. I like the cast in Alien Resurrection much more than this cast. Yeah.
Interesting.
Winona Ryder, Sigourney Weaver, Ron Perlman.
Yeah. I really liked...
Black Eye from CSI.
Yeah, I really like the dynamic between Andy and Rain in this. And I think that's why it's up a notch for me.
But just them 2 out of like the 6.
Well, and I like the way everybody else died in this. Like, I like the fact that Kay, we thought she was dead, but she was actually just getting cocooned. They saved her, and then the girl ended up getting it anyway. I don't know. I kind of like that little twist and turn there.
Yeah, but you know what? And
it is too soon.
I kind of prefer the hybrid from Resurrections.
Okay, this one.
I like the fact that the hybrid came from a cloned queen from a cloned Sigourney Weaver, and then when the hybrid was born naturally,
it looked more like it
immediately killed its mother.
It did. I remember that. Now that I remember.
It thought Sigourney Weaver was its true mother. I thought that was executed a lot weirder. But
this one killed his mama too.
Was also fun. Yeah.
Yeah, the hybrid mutant xenomorph human was pretty bad to look at.
It was pretty awful to look at.
It's pretty like it's. I didn't have no dreams about it. Thankfully,
it made for a fun third act. It was interesting.
You know what? It paid off. Everybody kept hyping up the third act, and sometimes it don't pay off.
It was tonally completely different than the rest of the film.
It got real weird.
It did. It got and the tone from the rest of the film after that thing showed up completely changed.
Right, not in a bad way, but it was just like, oh, we are taking it to a totally different place right now.
Bonkers.
Right, bonkers is a good word. But overall, almost perfect. 5 for 5 Nicole Kidmans, but we both gonna stick it at a 4.5.
An absolute must see.
Yes, agree. Yeah. All right, so what are we getting into next week?
What are we watching next week?
I should know that off the top of my head. Give me 1 second. Oh, Blink Twice.
Oh.
It is all. It feels.
That's why I forgot, because Channing Tatum hasn't been promoting it. He's been too busy trying to make Gambit happen instead of making the film that his girlfriend made that is actually like in theaters right now that needs money.
I'm glad you got your spotlight as Gambit.
I haven't heard him say a single thing about Blink Twice.
I've
seen him blink twice.
That's a good one. They had something recently for it somewhere on Twitter. But yes,
he didn't really promote Fly Me to the Moon either. He just really wants to be Gambit. It's to understand.
His cameo was cute, but I'm sorry. I think we might be in a minority for that.
The cameo was good, but you have other projects.
I don't need Channing Tatum as Gambit for 2 hours.
And Blink Twice looks good, and it's getting really good reviews. Its reviews are almost the same as Alien Romulus.
I was gonna say, reviews. I think last I saw it was at like an 80 on Rotten Tomatoes for critics.
And he needed that after the Fly Me to the Moon was dragged through the dirt.
Yeah, because it didn't make no money.
No.
Although I do still want to see that.
I still want to see it.
But next episode, we will see how Channing Tatum does as a potentially psychopathic killer. I don't know.
We'll tell him how it is. It seems like he hasn't seen it.
We like you, Channing, but you really need to promote this movie. I'm curious what the box office gonna be for this as well.
Let Gambit go.
Yeah,
let them call you. Yeah.
He said he wrote a letter. I'm like, Channing, relax. It's not happening.
He's about to be outside Kevin's window with a boombox.
They literally let you do this so they can move on. I'm just saying. But we gonna support your and your girlfriend's movie.
We will.
Finance.
Yes.
Fiance. Whatever. Thanks for listening. If you like our show, please share it. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on our website, vaguelynerdypodcast.com. You can also leave us a voice message, which we will play on the show if it is polite and friendly. You can follow us on Twitter at vaguelynerdypod or on IG at vaguelynerdypodcast. And if email is your way of communication, you can email us at vaguelynerdypodcast@gmail.com.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.